expands, distinguishing between real and AI-generated content has become increasingly difficult. Deepfakes and AI-generated images and voice cloning are making online scams and misinformation more convincing than ever, allowing for malicious actors to impersonate individuals, spread false information, and deceive users. As a result, people often struggle to determine whether digital content is authentic, increasing the risk of fraud, misinformation, and trust in online media. This growing challenge highlights the need for accessible tools that can help users verify the authenticity of digital content and make safer and more informed decisions online. So here I have a little example how like on this left side, we have like the original media, and then on the right side is what a deepfake would probably look like. So deepfakes are not 100% accurate, as they would have, for example, inconsistent eye blinking, mismatched earrings, and some features would like lack definition. Here we have another example of face swapping and face manipulation. So they would combine these two people into one, and then over here they would combine these two faces to form a new expression. And then here we also have an actual example of a real person and what their deepfake would look like. And here we can see it's not 100% accurate, but it's very, very similar and you can still get scammed.
Definitely.
So for some of our real-world insights, as technology continues to evolve, deepfakes and other forms of AI-generated content are becoming more realistic, more widespread, and increasingly difficult to detect. According to Station X, the number of deepfakes online is projected to grow from 500,000 in 2023 to nearly 8 million in 2026. At the same time, research suggests that only about 0.1% of people can consistently identify AI-generated deepfakes across multiple tests. In North America alone, deepfake-related fraud has also increased by 3,000%, highlighting how rapidly this technology is being exploited for scams and misinformation. These trends demonstrate the urgent need for accessible tools to help verify digital content, identify manipulation, and make safer, more informed decisions online. So here again, we have a little chart that shows like the voice attack surge rates, and we can see that deepfake, specifically like phishing, has increased by 1,633% alone. Same thing with like voice attacks, which would be just like through calls, would be like 1,300% has already like increased. And that's only in 2024 and 2025 alone. We can already predict that's going to increase by 3,000% by end of 2026. And then on this chart, we also have the amount of deepfake frauds that are being attempted. So in 2022, only 0.1% of frauds were deepfake related, and now it's already increased to 0.5% by the end of 2025.
Okay.
So for my solution, we created VeriShield, which is an AI-powered deepfake detection and anti-scam platform designed to help users identify suspicious images, videos, and audio before they become victims of fraud or misinformation. So whenever a user gets any like image being sent to them or they see it online, they can upload that media and provide context about the situation, allowing for VeriShield to analyze and detect indicators of
But Yashica, pause for a second. Look, when you're doing the solution slide, right, try to make it as brief as possible, remember, because the next slide will just be your demonstration, right, if I remember correctly?
Okay.
Yeah. So
So
you'll be
it just
explaining stuff, you'll just be repeating yourself unnecessarily, right? Does that make sense?
okay. So it's just like it's just an application where you can like input your actual media and VeriShield will give you an output and advice on what to do, essentially.
Exactly, right? Perfect. One, two sentences. Right, move on to demonstration now.
So for our actual demonstration, here we have the actual app. So over here, I'll just go over like the main feature. So our very first feature itself is our simple mode. So if we toggle that on, we can see how the media actually gets a little bigger and the language itself on the app gets a little simpler. And I added this because a lot of the people who are getting targeted by these scams are elderly and non-technical users. So it just makes it easier for them to navigate the website. But for right now, I'll turn that off. So if you scroll down, or you can use these tabs on the top, so for example, features, we have a lot of stuff on our homepage. So this one tells us like the three main features of the app, which is deepfake detection, AI analysis, and the scam pattern intelligence. And it tells you a little bit about that. If you scroll down, it shows us the process of how VeriShield actually works, so users can know what to expect. And then if we scroll down a little more, we have some more statistics, and this is important to inform users about the importance of being safe online and how, for example, it only takes minutes, sometimes even seconds, for an AI to clone your face or voice. So it's to be very, very careful online. If we scroll down a little further, we have some examples that users can look at, and these threat contexts gives them a general idea of some very common scam patterns to look out for. If we scroll down a little more, we have an education page. So this basically tells the users what a deepfake is if they're not really aware of what it is. It gives them a definition, some examples, and a red flags checklist, so things that they could look out for themselves. So for example, like behavioral cues and technical cues like lighting inconsistency, they're able to look out for that themselves. And
Okay.
then there's also a quiz. So once they look over that, they can test their knowledge to see if they actually understood everything. And then this is mainly essentially for after you do the scan. So it tells you what to do right now. And if you are being met with a very, very high risk score and it's sent from like someone you don't trust, you have an option to click on this website and it takes you to the fraud government website. So if you have something you want to report, that's an option. And then if you scroll down a little further, we have like some frequently asked questions like, is a real AI scam or a demo? Like, how accurate is VeriShield?
Yes.
And then also,
Yashika, can you just show the AI in action real quick?
yeah. So we're able to sign in or sign up. I already have an account, so I'll just sign in. So once you sign in, you can click Launch Hub. And so over here, we have a drag and drop media option. So over here, I'll do an image. And so whenever you put your media in, it scans your image and it gives you a risk score. So for this one, it's saying this image is 47% AI, which is around a medium risk score. So you should take some precautions. We have a target map. So it highlights the key things in the image that it thinks is AI generated and it breaks it down. So for example, for this image, it thinks that the asymmetric lighting is a factor of AI and then the edge contour is also AI generated. And then over here, we also incorporated a chatbot. So for example, if I want to ask, should I trust the user that sent me this image? It'll give you some advice on what to do. And then it also has a list of all the things that I've tested out. So if you do want to go back to your previous scans, that's an option. And then we also do have 4 examples over here. So if they want to like look at some examples, if they don't have an image of their own, they're able to do that. And then our last 2 features are the safety features. So these are only available if you do sign in. But essentially, you can contact your family and keep a family safe word so that if you do get a suspicious call and ask and like talk to them, they're able to input a code word. So like if I get a call, I'll
Okay,
be like,
so look, I think I get the picture. Look, Yashika, overall your presentation was pretty good. Okay, however, like when you're going the demonstration section, right? Don't over explain yourself, right? Certain like remember the point of the presentation is to keep people engaged, right? That makes sense. Otherwise, they'll otherwise you kind of lose them, right? Like, for example, like in the beginning part, right? You're going over explaining like everything related to even FAQs and stuff like that, right? I know what most people know what an FAQ is. Okay, so
okay,
like when you're explaining this stuff, get to the point first, right? Does that make sense? Like this stuff you're showing me with this with the whole AI demonstration, right? This is what you should have started with. Then you could have mentioned like the FAQs and the extra stuff. Does that make sense?
okay.
Right? Because otherwise, the worst thing you can do is make people feel like you're wasting their time, right? Or make them feel like they're waiting for something. Yeah. Yep. That's the presentation part. At least other than that, you're speaking very well. You're elucidating very well. On that part, you did quite good. Okay, I have a few questions for you. What exactly is the model you're using for the deepfake detection?
We're using the Grok API key model.
You're using Grok, right?
Yeah,
For both the chatbot as well as the that what do you call it? The deepfake detection.
yeah, we're using Grok for everything.
Using for graph everything. Okay, cool. What about yeah, okay. Final question. What do you what do you how do you define what is an API?
Like what is an API?
Yeah, what is that?
like the API key,
Now, what is an API?
like in the actual like AI model or like in general.
Let's just define the word. What is API?
Um, I'm sorry, I don't know.
Yeah,
Like
no, that's fine. Look,
it's my
basically, API is a tool that you're using right now, right? Basically, like your app talks to Grok, right? Gets sends that image to Grok and gets its reply back. Does that make sense?
yeah.
Right. So that's its communication is happening, right? API is basically the way it communicates, right? So basically, API is the way your it's is the tool that your app uses to communicate with Grok. That makes sense. So that's why you're saying you use the Grok API, right? So it's kind of like you're calling up Grok, right? It's saying like, hey Grok, this is my image. Like, can you get a reply back? Cool.